Hi everyone, welcome along to today's training session. My name is Roshni and I'm part of the customer team here at SuiteFIles. So today's training session is going to cover our standard user training where we'll go through the functionality of the main SuiteFIles apps. So those are the web app, the Outlook add-in for Windows and the Suite Drive. Before we begin, please note that if you do have any questions throughout today's webinar, please add them to the Q&A section, which you can see in the Zoom webinar panel. I'll be keeping an eye out on any questions that come in throughout today's session and answer them as we go. Also note that I'm recording, so we'll be uploading the sessions for this week onto our YouTube channel, which is called SuiteFIles. So we do have some other ways that can help with your training, which is to visit our help centre, and that's at suitehelp.suitefiles.com. So you can type in your search query into the bar at the top here and click search. Otherwise, we've got the help centre organised by getting started, SuiteFIles for admins, how to work in SuiteFIles, so that's the day-to-day working. If you like to check out the Zero integration, that's where you can do so. And if you're an account manager, you can see how to manage your subscription in this section here. So lots of information available on our help centre. If you can't find what you're looking for either after today's session, after you've attended all of the sessions this week rather, and you still can't find it on the help centre, then you're always welcome to get in touch with us at support@suitefiles.com. So that's us. So let's get started. The first thing that we need to do is we'll log into our SuiteFIles site. So what you need to do is enter in your SuiteFIles URL. Hopefully you will have that available to you in an email. If you don't, it should look a little something like this. So our SuiteFIles site here is demosuite.sharepoint.com. So yours will look a little bit different. The first part will obviously be your business name or similar. And once you've entered that URL into the browser, then you'll be prompted to sign in here. So on this screen, you'll use your Office 365 email address and your Office 365 password. So once you've entered your password, click sign in. And if you have forgotten your username or your password for this site, then it's something that you'll need to follow up with your Office 365 administrator. It's not actually something that we here at SuiteFIles have access to. So if you get stuck with the login process, just reach out to your Office 365 administrator. If you do have two-factor authentication, then during this process, you'll be prompted for your code, but I don't have that. So as soon as you enter in your password and click the button, you'll see your SuiteFIles home screen, which will look a little something like this. So on the left-hand side of SuiteFIles, you'll see your list of folders. So these are the top level folders that you have in your site, and you can see at the top left, we've got the SuiteFIles logo. This is a really easy way to get back to home if you need to. So if you're going through your clients folder, which you can just navigate through by clicking the folders on the list here, you can always jump back to home by clicking that SuiteFIles logo. In the top middle of the screen, you can see here that we have the search bar. We can use this to search for our files or folders. We have a few ways to search, so we'll go through those in the session. And then underneath we have our navigation tabs. So files is where you're going to see your top level folders. Favorites is going to display any files and folders that you have starred. So you can see here that I have starred this file template for one of my clients, and I have a welcome letter that I've also starred. So it's something that I use often. If you click on your folders, you can also see here that I've got a list of starred folders from my site. So to star a folder, if you navigate through to the folder that you want to star, so if we have a look at 16 candles, for example, click the star icon to the right of the folder name, and then that will turn gold. So from grey to gold means that that's been starred for you. And then if we have a look here now, you can see that 16 candles has been starred. For a file, you can navigate to any of your files and go through, see if there's anything in here. Nope, we'll just stick to this top level of the 16 candles folder, and you can click on the star to the right of the file name, and that job report will now be stored within your files favorites. To unstar, you can simply click the yellow star wherever you see it, again, whether it's in your SuiteFIles site itself or within the favorites tab, and then that will unfavorite it and remove it from your favorites tab. Recents, that will display a list of files and folders that have been modified or created recently, and on the left you'll see a few filtering options here. So if you're looking for perhaps an email, you can click on the emails filter and it will just display any recent emails. And any folders that sit within your client's structure, then they're going to be visible in this list as well. You can also restrict it down to people. So if we want to have a look at my ones, then this is what I've been working on recently. Images, this is simply a search for image types throughout your site. So if you click on logo, for example, and if you have any logo files, then that's just going to bring them up for you. Tasks is where you can manage file and folders that you have shared with others or that others have shared with you, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on that soon. Scans, we actually have a whole webinar dedicated to the scanning functionality, and that's going to be held tomorrow. So I recommend that you come along if you're not already signed up for that. And here you're going to see any files that you've uploaded via your scanner. We can set up an email address, and then you can actually enter that into your scanner. And then once you have scanned, then the PDF file will arrive in the scans tab here. From here you can file it away. So go into a lot more detail about this in tomorrow's webinar. So what you see under more will depend on your your user role or your permission levels in SuiteFIles. So these are sort of enabled by your administrator. So here I have the ability to manage users and groups, and that's because I'm an administrator in SuiteFIles. If you have been given permission to manage templates, so this can be something that your administrator can give you access to. If you're just a standard user, you can have the ability to manage templates. So if you want to be able to do that, then talk to your administrator. And then you can also view the recycle bin. So these two are managed by your administrator, and this will be available for everyone right from day dot. So let's just take a look at the recycle bin, and that's going to show us any files that have been deleted from your SuiteFIles recently. So you can, if we just take a closer look, got to get that restore button into view. So if you have deleted something but you want to get it back, then you can click on the restore button, and this will return the file to its original folder location, which you can see here. So if I was to click restore on that, it will take it back into the 99 Corporation email folder. That's where it will sit. So click on that. Cool, and that's been returned to its original location. We should be able to access that from here. And we'll just jump into here. And you can see here the Welcome to SuiteFIles 99 Corporation letter has been restored. So next we're going to take a look at how we'll set up user preferences. So we recommend that you do this early on, as it will set up some of the default behaviors that you use throughout SuiteFIles. So to set your user preferences, just jump into the top right corner here where you see your name. And then you want to select user profile settings and then file preferences. So the first option here is whether or not we want to show archived content. So if you have this set to yes, you'll be able to see files or folders that someone has archived in your site. If you have it set to no, like I do, you won't be able to see any of those archived files or folders. So I've got it set up to not show, but if I do switch it to yes, and then to save your changes, just click the X. Close out of the window, and that will save your changes. If we jump back into our home, for example, we have a bunch of stuff from a few years ago that has been archived. So this is what an archived file looks like. So this is something that's really important to be aware of. Yes, archiving keeps your site nice and tidy, but it's important to be aware of this just in case other users decide to archive files and folders that you cannot see, and you're searching for something, for example, you knew it was stored in a particular folder, but you can no longer see it. It may be that you've got your settings set to no and the file or folder has since been archived. So you can jump back into your profile settings at any time and file preferences and switch that back between yes and no. If you would like to see timestamps while you're navigating your files, so this is in particular for the date last modified column that you'll see throughout SuiteFIles. You can see in the background here I've just got my dates showing, and that's because the setting is set to no. If we switch that across to yes and close that, and let's just jump back into any folder where we've got files, we can see here that now we have the time that the file has been modified. So if you click the date last modified column, you can see that you can sort between oldest to newest date. Okay, so one of the next preferences, the final preference that we'll talk about, is how you want to open your Office files. So an Office file is something like a Microsoft Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, PowerPoint presentation, etc. So these files by default, when you first sign up with SuiteFIles, because of the setting, will have you opening Office files in the browser by default. So let's take a look at what that does. Let's find ourselves a Word document. This can be the tricky thing when we've got lots of different files. Let me just go back in here. There should be something for 16 candles. Perfect. So what that setting means is when we click on something like a Word document and you just click it once to open, that's going to open them by default in this preview mode. So one of the things that you'll need to do is click on the edit in browser if you want to make any changes. Otherwise, you're perfectly fine to view the file and do any actions with it that you need to. If you're wanting to make changes to the file, for example, let's make a change. Maybe we need 2 R's in Gary's name. You can make that change in the browser without having to open it up into the app itself. So you don't need to open it up in the desktop app. You can simply edit it in your browser, save and close. And when we jump into that file again, we can see that the change has taken effect. So on the flip side, the opening it up in Office, if we set this to no, then when we go and open up a document, such as a Word document, it's going to open up in the desktop version of the app. So Microsoft Word desktop app, Microsoft Excel, etc. So the first time that you do this, so it's something to keep in mind and maybe pass this on to your team if you have more than, if those people aren't attending today's session, is if you have set that to no for the first time when you open up a file, you're going to see this pop up, tick that box and click Open Word, and then that's going to take a little while, but it's going to open up in Microsoft Word. So we'll just give that a moment to open. One of the things to note is that this process here is not going to have that same functionality that perhaps the the browser version does not have the same functionality as the apps have. So this is just asking me to sign in on my other screen, so I'll do that now. So a few little steps that you might need to do for the very first time, but once you're all set up, then it should be no problem to just jump into the Office app. So let me just sign in and we'll go through that again. Okay, I'm just getting an access denied message to contact my administrator, so I'll have to do that, but in the meantime we can just check out another Word document hopefully. Let's just okay, let's just find something a little bit more recent. Perfect. So let's just try this one. So I'll just click the Open in Office. It does keep asking me to sign in for some reason. So I'm just going to skip that one because it's just going to take a little bit longer than what we have time for today. So just note that when you do, well, if you do come across any issues with this, if your preference is to open up the Office file directly into the apps, then just have this set to no and save your settings by clicking the X, and then you should expect the file just to simply open up in Word. So it will might take a few seconds longer, definitely not as long as what we're experiencing today, but there seems to be some issue with my login and my permissions to access. So you shouldn't have that at all. If you do come across anything like that yourselves, then please email us at support@suitefiles.com and we will help you out with that. And I'll talk to our tech support team straight after today's session to get that sorted. Okay, so the other things to note about if you're opening it up in the desktop apps, there's no need to select a different location. When you save, you can simply click the Save button and that will go straight back into SuiteFiles. And one other thing to note is that Excel, I guess, the browser editing of Excel spreadsheets is okay. You know, you can edit a formula, but if you're wanting more functionality, such as macros, for example, then you might find that the opening it in Excel into the app will be more efficient for you, so in terms of its functionality. So we just recommend trying it out. It really comes down to personal preference. You might want to just set it to open all files in the browser and then select open in Office with that button that you saw whenever you need to. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at how you can find things quickly in SuiteFIles by using the folder filters, quick search, and the advanced search. So if we take a look at filtering your folders, so if we jump back into our clients structure here, you can see we've got a whole long list of clients, and it can take quite some time if you're anything like us. You have a number of clients, it can take ages to scroll to where you need to be. So if you enter the first part of the client folder name, let's say for example 99, if I want to get to the 99 Corporation folder, enter the first few letters of the client folder name and then press enter on your keyboard, then you'll see the list of results here. So again, if we want to look for, say, all of our clients starting with letter S, then you can see still we've got quite a few options. If we then change that to perhaps Suite, then you can see that we've got a few more results, but it's narrowed them down considerably. So from here you can navigate through and get to the folders and files that you need to. So if you can't find what you're looking for with that search method, that only works within the blue folder that's highlighted in the top of your screen there. So if that's not quite cutting it for you, then you can come up the top here and use what we call the quick search. So with quick search, you just type your search term into the search bar at the top of the screen here, and a list of results will be displayed. So if we look for test and we don't hit enter, you can see that there's a few test files and folders that appear in the list of results. So at the top of the list, you'll see any of your client folders. So these are the ones that are indicated with this little person icon. Then further on down, you'll see any files associated with this, and then any non-client folders will be displayed. So that's just how the logic works. And you can see at the very top, these two are favorites. So that's why they're appearing right at the very top of the screen. So it's not going to show you a list of all of the files that match your search criteria. So if you can't see what you're looking for, what you're expecting in this list, then you can perform an advanced search. So that can be done by either clicking the advanced search for your search term here, or you can press enter on your keyboard, and that's going to take a while to search through all of SuiteFIles depending on the search term, but here you can see that we have just 360 results for our keyword using the advanced search. So it is still quite a few results. So what you can do is use the search filters to lower your results. So the search filters are shown on the left of the screen. The current state, or the content state rather, this relates to whether or not the file is archived or not. So current are all your non-archived files, and archived will show you any of the archived files within SuiteFIles. The file type will be able to show you quite quickly which type of file it is. If you know that you're looking for a Word document in particular, click on Word, and that's going to narrow the results down to 43. If it's a particular client folder or a client that you're looking for, then you can see that you can restrict even further, giving us 16 results. and so on. So the financial year relates to whether or not you've got a financial year subfolder created for example, this client. Is there a 2014 or 2013 financial year folder? Then it's going to pick that up. Otherwise, it's going to look at the date or the year of the file. So if you're looking also for a particular person that last modified it, then again, your results will narrow down even further until you hopefully find what you're looking for in that list. You can also search in the current folder. So if we jump back to home and look in clients, 16 candles, for example, and if we want to search for the term letter, you can search in current folder for letter, and unfortunately we've got no results there, but that can typically get you or drill down to a particular file with a particular search term that you're looking for. So that one's a good one to be aware of. So next we'll take a look at creating a client folder, folder templates, and how to create files in SuiteFIles. So if we navigate back to home, and let's say we wanted to create a new client folder. So if we jump into clients here, and we can either click on the three dots to the right of the folder name, and click create subfolder, or we can come along to the blue create button and select new folder from here. So then you need to give the folder a name, and you can click create. You can also choose a folder template, but we'll go through that in a very short moment. So once we have created the new folder, you can see that SuiteFIles automatically directs you into that folder, ready for you to start adding files to or creating subfolders, which you can do by just clicking the create subfolder button with those three dots, or again just clicking the blue create button, and that will create any subfolders within the TTS accounting subfolder. You can click on the options button here, so those three dots, we also refer to that as the options, and you can see that you can say delete a folder from here, and that will remove it from SuiteFIles. So the deleting functionality, you can do that if you've got permission to do so. And if you're not an administrator like I am, then you will see a message saying that you can't actually delete, or you don't have the permissions to do that. So administrators can enable delete functionality to users of their choosing. So if that's something that you feel like you need, then do reach out to your administrator. If that's not the process that your team is going to follow, then you can also do what we've done in our home screen. For those of our team that don't have delete permissions, we have created this trash folder. So this is just a folder called trash. It doesn't have any special functionality behind it other than being a standard folder in SuiteFIles. But let's say that we want to move these tests out of the home area and into the trash. So what we can do is we can tick this box, and that's going to select all of the files in the list. We can deselect if we want to, and then you can move, copy the files into trash. So if you click on move, then you can see here that those two files have been relocated into the trash folder. So your administrator can come in here from time to time and they can delete the trash folder and recreate a new one, or they can go through and delete in bulk by selecting all and then clicking delete. So that's another option. You need a way, I guess, to keep your SuiteFIles site nice and tidy and rid of unwanted files. So that is another option if you don't have team-wide delete function. So let's next take a look at folder templates. So you will recall that when we created a new folder, we did have the option to select a folder template. So these are a real time saver. Each time you add that new client to SuiteFIles, you can use folder templates to create the folder structure that sits below that client's folder. So please note, and this is important, you do need to create the folder template structure before you save it as a folder template to use for future client folder creation. So if we take a look in our SuiteFIles site, you can see that we have created a folder called folder template. So these are the folders and the folder structure that we use as the basis to create our folder template. So every time we have a new client that starts, we will go ahead and use a folder template that we have used this as the basis of. So if we need to, say, add a new folder to our folder template before we get started, say we need a correspondence folder, we can do that and then click create. So that will be sitting there, and then in order to create this or make this a folder template to use for future, we can click on the three dots and then click template folder. I'm just going to date mine because we create quite a few here. I need to keep track of which ones I'm creating, but you might just create one called new client folders, new client folder structure. It's up to you what you name it. You can also enter a description here for the template. And when you're ready, just click create and close. That's going to create the folder template, and it's going to store that in your templates manager. So in here that your administrator has access to. So one thing to note is just to keep, have the team sort of input into what you need as your base folders for any new client that's created, then have one person create that folder structure, turn it into a template by following those steps, and then from that point forward it will be available for anyone that's creating a new folder in SuiteFIles. So let's jump back into our clients folder and let's again create a TTS accounting client folder, and from here choose a folder template, and we can see that our new client folders are listed here, and we then click create. So now you can see the TTS accounting folder has been created once again, but this time it's got the correspondence, email, engagement, etc. folders that we had set up as a folder template. So you need to follow those steps as I've shown you. Create that template structure first, turn it into a template. That will then get stored in your template manager for you and your team to make use of when you're creating new clients. So that's a really good time saver. And one thing to note is that if you do include any files, so if you have any files in your original folder template that you've used as the basis, then those files are going to get copied across. So that might be a good thing or bad thing depending on how you work. You might have certain files that need to be part of a client folder from the get-go, but if not, just keep that in mind. Make sure that it's nice and clean before you turn it into a template, so that you don't run the risk of creating unnecessary files throughout your site. So if we do want to create a file, just jump into the folder that you want to store the file within, and then come along to the blue Create button. And from here, you can see that you've got the option to create a file from a template. We go through files, file templates in our training session, which we'll hold tomorrow. So stay tuned for more info on that one, because it's quite a little bit more detailed around how to create file templates and then use them. So we'll cover that off tomorrow. But here you can see that you've got a list of file types that you can create, such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and plain text. So you might notice that there's just a limited list, and that these are Microsoft Office file types, and there is a reason for this, and that's because SuiteFIles rather is built on top of or integrated with Office 365. So we are storing things in Office 365, so they will open up in Office 365. So that's just something to keep an eye on. If you wanted to create a new Word document, you can click the Word option, and then you just need to give the file a name. Then create Word document, and this will create a new file, and it will open that file up. Okay, so this time it wants to open up in Microsoft Word. So let's just show that. So it just opened up on my other screen here. So you can see that the new document has been created. It's opened up in Word. So I've got all of the functionality that I need in the Office desktop app, and you can start to edit that straight away with whatever you like. So you can enter all of this information as you need, and you can see here that it's saving, and that's just going to save directly back to the location in SuiteFIles. So you can see that it's been saved here. You can also click the Save button. I've got my settings by default for auto save, so that's going to all be taken care of for me. We also have some file options, and you can click the 3 dots to the right of the file name to see those, and that brings up actions that you can perform for this one file. So such as downloading, sharing, you can edit or rename the file from here, archive, move or copy, and save as a template. So this is what we'll go through tomorrow. Delete, if you've got delete action permissions, then you'll be able to delete a file from here, and you can also view the details or show that particular file in its folder if you've sort of accessed it from a different area in the SuiteFIles site. So that's those are all really handy to note. Do note if you do download a file, so it can be downloaded by either clicking this icon here or clicking the download from the file options menu. If you do download a file, do note that any changes that you make to that downloaded file, they're not going to be saved back up into SuiteFIles, because once you download it, that connection has been cut off. So if you are wanting to simply edit the file and have your changes saved directly into SuiteFIles, then you're going to want to use this edit option. So the edit icon or the edit option from here. Obviously the simplest way is to just click on the file, and that's going to open it up ready for editing. So just be aware of that and let your team know that as well. We do have actions for multiple files as well. So if we jump back into so anywhere really that has multiple files listed, you can perform multiple actions by either hovering over the file and then selecting that, and then that allows you to select any more of the files that are in the list. So let's say we wanted to perform an action for both of these files. Let's say if we wanted to delete them both, we can click delete, and that's going to delete both of those files. If we wanted to move both of those files, I did show you how you can move or copy a file from its current location into the trash by clicking on the move option, and then you can navigate through and select trash. But there's another keyboard shortcut that you can use. So if you've selected the files like this, you can use Control X on your keyboard to cut a file. And you can see that it's been cut. So I've just typed that into my keyboard, Control X, and that's just grayed out the files ever so slightly. So if we jump back into Home, and let's say we want to pop them into the trash, you can then press Control V, and that's going to paste those files that you wanted to delete into this folder here. So those were the files that we just removed. So that's another quick tip. You can also copy a file by pressing Control C and then navigating to the folder that you want to copy it to, and then pressing Control V. So that's important for you to know. If you are trying to download multiple files, so let's have a look here. If you have selected all and you want to download, if you see some tabs opening but nothing happening down the bottom here, then it's likely that you have your pop-ups blocked. So I don't, but if you aren't seeing anything arrive in your downloads folder, for example, then it's going to be likely due to your pop-ups being blocked, and you should see a little notification in your browser telling you that. So that's just one thing to keep an eye out for. So next we're going to take a look at sharing. So how you can share folders with users on your site, how you can share files with those, with anyone who's on your SuiteFIles site, as well as any external user. So let's start with the sharing of folders. So if you have, say, a new folder that you've created, and you need some of your colleagues to add some files to it, you can navigate to the folder, click the three dots, and then select Share With. So if we take a look, let's see if I can share this with myself. If you enter in the person's name, select them from the list, and then you'll know that you've selected them correctly when you can see the white outline around their name. So you should only be sharing with people that are within your SuiteFIles site. So you should only see folks that that are a part of that, and then you can enter in your sharing message. So you can also select a sharing message reason. So if it's just merely for information, if you need them to review and edit, or if it's something that needs their approval. So you can toggle that by just clicking the options and then click share. So that person that you've shared the folder with, they should see a notification in their site. So let's just take a look here. So we can see that if we click on the bell icon, that Roshni has shared the 99 Corporation folder with me, and we should also in tasks be able to see that one of my new tasks is that Roshni has shared the folder with me. So they'll also receive an email notification as well. If you want to share a file, you can share these with both internal and external users. So if we just jump into that file that we just created, we're filtering for TTS and jumping into the correspondence, and then you can share the file by either clicking that share option or the three dots next to the file name and then clicking share. So this time we can share with both internal and external users. So let me just find myself in the list, and if I select that person, again you can see that this is covered in a white, it's like a white outline, so that's been added correctly, and this is what any sharing should look like when you've selected an internal user, so one of your team. If you are sharing this with an external user, so I'm just going to enter in their email address. If you type in their email address and then you must press enter on your keyboard. So you'll see here that the difference between these two is that this person's email address is in orange. So that indicates to me that they're going to be an external user and they're not going to have access to my SuiteFIles site. So we want to make sure that they can't, they get the correct notification accordingly. So we can also add in a sharing message. And again, you can select the reason, a quick reason for why you're sending this across to them, and then click share. So again, if I check the notification bell in the top right of my site, we'll be able to see that this user has shared the TTS accounting welcome letter with me. And in tasks, I can also see that the welcome letter has been added to my tasks. So things I need to action. So we'll also just take a look at the email notifications that we should have received. Okay, so the first one, if we just bring that across. So these emails have just come through, and we can see here that the first one was the folder that we got shared. So I can see the message here, and then as an internal user, I can click on the folder, and then that's going to open up the folder directly in my site. So I'm all logged in and it will recognize that and just point me straight to it. This one, again, this is from to an internal user, so to one of my colleagues. So a very similar message, this time for a file. And if we click on the TTS link, then that's going to take me directly into the document itself. You can see here that you can see that they've asked me to review this file. I can view details if I want to, and you can add in any feedback or mark it as done, and that's going to notify the user at the other end that that has been actioned. So the third and final option was looking at the external user. So this could be one of your clients that you want to share a file with. We can see that the file sharing message comes through a little differently. So they can then download the links. They can click this link here or click on the TTS Accounting welcome letter link. And so this time, instead of having access to our SuiteFIles site, they will see something that looks very similar to SuiteFIles, but it's not your site. So they don't have access to it at all. They can just simply see that this is the letter that's been shared with them by whom, and then they can click on this link and it will download the document for them. So this is just a downloading process. They're not going to be able to edit and make live updates into the document in your site. So that's something very important to be aware of. So we've been having a little look at tasks, so let's just finish this off. So it's really just around keeping track of the files we've shared with other people, what they've shared with us. So if we have a look at the new, these are the ones that have just come through. We can also take a look at the sent items. So this is also very similar to what I have in my new, just because I've been sending things to myself for today. You can also see anything that you've completed and anything that you've shared externally. So you can see that I have shared this TTS accounting welcome letter with Roshni at Demo Suite. So you can also see what they've done with that. So you can see that they have in fact downloaded it. So if we take a look at anything that's in our new, we can see that we've got 3 new tasks and we've got the message here. If we wanted to add a note, yes, that's the one. So you can click on the little commenting icon here, the little chat. So you can send that note and then you yourself can just mark that as done. Add a note and then click the 3 dots and mark as done. So you can see that as you do that, your new just gets reduced down, and I'm just going to simply mark that one as done too. So that's all done and dusted, and they'll be just sitting in your completed items. So next we're going to take a look at the Outlook add-in for Windows. So I'll first just take a very quick break, a little bit of a water break, but if you do have any questions about anything that you've seen here, then please feel free to add your questions into the Q&A section and we can take a look at those as well. Okay, so the Outlook add-in, and what we're going to do first is download it. So to do that, you can jump into SuiteFIles, into your site here, and then click on your name in the top right corner, and then download apps. So this brings up the links to download each of our add-ins. So this one we're going to be using right now is the SuiteFIles for Outlook add-in. And that's going to download the SuiteMail version. And you can show that in your folder. And let's just have a look. So just, you'll have a zip file, which I'm just going to pop onto my desktop so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so you'll see something a little bit like this. You want to open that up and then run the SuiteMail installer. Cool. So that's just doing its thing on my other screen. I'll just bring those across. So it really doesn't take long at all in the time that I tried to drag those across to the screen to show you that SuiteFiles Outlook add-in is now installed. So let's just close Outlook and we'll open it back up again. So while we wait for it to load up, what we're going to do is just copy our site URL from SuiteFiles. Since we're already logged in there, we do need this site URL in order to log into the Outlook add-in. And the easiest way to do that is to jump into SuiteFiles and just copy your site URL. Usually it's up until this .com point. So just Control C just so that you've got it on your clipboard. And now that we've reopened our Outlook, we can now see the SuiteFiles Outlook login screen. So if you have if you have multi-factor authentication, then you'll want to go with that advanced login option. I don't, so I'm just going to log in to SuiteFiles using that button. So you want to enter in your site URL, so I'm just going to paste that in. And then you want to enter in your Office 365 email address and Office 365 password. So then it will just authenticate away and log in for you. And then once it's logged in, you're going to start to see your full file system from SuiteFiles appear on the right-hand side of your inbox. So here you can see your top level folder structure, and we've got the navigation tabs along the top here. So if you ever need to get back to home, click on the home button. Just to be taken directly to your clients subfolder, you can click on clients and recents and favorites. So that's some easy ways to get around there. And then in order to use the add-in, you can sort of get this all set up ready to file any emails to. So you can see here that I've got a 99 Corporation email here. So sorry, the screen's a little bit funny. But here's my email, and if I want to file this email that I've received into SuiteFiles, I can either navigate through my list to find that client folder, or the search at the top is defaulted to clients. I can type in 99, hit enter. You can see here that I've got my 99 Corporation email subfolder, and if I want to file this email in here, I can simply drag and drop that email into SuiteFiles. So you can see that the email message has now appeared, and I can also see a preview of this in my Outlook add-in. So colleagues of mine can also access that from their end if they've got the Outlook add-in installed. And you can also see that Outlook has automatically added a category for me, and that's just a blue added to SuiteFiles category tag. So you can keep things nice and organized. If you want to also attach or bring the attachment across into the add-in, you can see here that you do see that the email actually does have an attachment, but the only way that you can access the attachment from within the email is to then open the message in Outlook. So if we pretend that, say, a colleague of ours is wanting to access the attachment, they can do that. They'll need to open it up and see the email and attachment in Outlook. So another option is you can also, if we say just pop that in the correspondence folder, for example, you can drag and drop an attachment itself from within the email into your SuiteFiles folder. Cool. So, the other thing to note is that by default, let's have a look. No, I wasn't going to talk about that. But if you can also drag multiple emails into a folder at any one time. So if we jump back into home, let's just pick somewhere to pop these. So if we select one email and let's just jump into other, let's select 2 or 3 emails, we can also pop them into a folder of our choosing, and all 3 of those will get added to SuiteFIles. So from here, if you want to, you can delete those, and you'll know that they'll already be saved in SuiteFIles. So the other thing that you can do is you can save emails as you're sending them. So if we compose a new email here, and let's oops. So let's say we have an email. You can not only choose who to file the email against, you can also attach a file from SuiteFiles. So you can click the big Attach from SuiteFiles button, and then you can navigate through your folders and attach a number of files to your email. So once you've attached what you need to, then click the X in the top right corner, and let's just try different email address. So let's click on Send, and you can see here that when we have sent the item, you can see that you can name the file. So we can just rename the file if we'd like to. And using the drop downs here, we can also navigate through our folder structure in SuiteFiles and find the folder that we want to save it within. And you've got the option to either cancel the send but not file, or what I want to do, which is send and file it. So if we jump back into that folder in SuiteFiles in the Outlook add-in, you can see that within the email folder in the 99 Corporation folder, we have the Welcome to SuiteFiles Save on Send example. So from here, you can click Open, and that's going to open a copy of that in SuiteFiles itself. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted to open. There we go. So that was a document that I accidentally clicked. This one is the email example. So you can click the Outlook icon there, and that's going to open up the email with the attachments in Outlook itself. So when you are navigating through those folders, when you're saving on send, it depends on how you've got your folders structured, but typically the files will automatically be saving somewhere within your client's folder. If you want to take a step back one, or navigate back a level, you'll need to jump into your settings and the Outlook add-in, which you can click by using this cog icon in the bottom right corner. And then you can see here where it says prompt me to save on send to the such and such folder. Your options from here are either the clients or the home folder. So I think by default you'll find that the clients folder is what we point you to. If you want to be able to save to your other folders in SuiteFIles, then you'll need to just jump into here, click on home, and then you'll have every folder within your SuiteFIles site accessible from the save on send prompt. So you can also rename files from within the add-in. So if we wanted to, we can right click and then select rename, and oops, if you rename, you want to just make sure that you don't remove the file extension. So this is a .docx. If I needed to say add a date to the file or make any other amendment, you just want to make sure that you include the file name as it was in terms of its file extension, and then just make any edits to the file name itself. So that covers the Outlook add-in. We're going to finally take a look at the SuiteDrive app. So this maps a drive of your File Explorer to your SuiteFIles site. So it allows you to access files from the File Explorer. There are a few things to be aware of, one of those being that it doesn't sync or store items locally or offline, so it is always retrieving anything that you open from the cloud, from your SuiteFIles site. So there will be a time difference in terms of how long it might take to load or save things compared to if you're using the, compared to if you're sort of saving things to your desktop. So it's because every time you're doing so, it's having to upload or retrieve things from the cloud. So it's not really meant or designed to be a replacement or an alternative to the web app, which is what we've been showing you today. So that's the version of SuiteFIles that you access through your browser. We also refer to that as the web app. So yeah, it's simply an add-on. You'll find it much more beneficial and efficient to be using this web app as it is the main app that we've built and the best performing. So with that being said, it can be handy to have the SuiteDrive as sort of an option there. If you're wanting to say open a PDF file directly from SuiteFIles, you have the ability to do that using SuiteDrive. So we'll go to our download section again. And download apps, download drive. And that will just download to your computer. So here we have the drive, SuiteFIles drive installer. So just double click that to run it. And it's going to just ask you if you'd like to run this, click yes. Here you can click the accept and update or accept version button. And it will just start downloading the latest version of SuiteDrive. Okay, so yeah, it's all installed now. One thing to note is that Windows 7 is not supported for SuiteDrive. Windows 10, 8 and 10 are our supported operating systems, but if you do have Windows 7, that's fine. Just we have an Help Center article around using it on Windows 7, so definitely check that out. If you can't find it, then please let us know, and we can definitely point you in the right direction. And the other thing to note is that SuiteDrive is not supported for terminal servers, so that is not possible to run SuiteDrive on terminal servers. Okay, so the next step is we want to log in. So for this, I'm going to have to swap my screens around a little bit. Because you want to be able to access your hidden icons. So click on your hidden icons menu, which is just in the bottom right corner of your screen, and then you should be able to locate the SuiteFIles icon. So if you click that, okay, so, oops, screen engage. Okay, so hopefully you can see that okay. Let me know if you can't see the login. But you should be able to just right clicking. So right click the icon and then select log in. Okay, so then that will bring you to this same similar login page. So you can go back to your SuiteFIles site and copy and paste your site URL to that .com, enter in your username. And your password. If you have multi-factor auth, then you'd want to show the advanced settings, but otherwise just click login. That will just tell you that SuiteDrive is running. So what it should look like, just going to change my view here because this is so you should be able to see your SuiteFIles or S drive in your list under this PC. But if you don't have that visible, then one troubleshooting tip to be aware of is that you can jump back into hidden icons, right click the SuiteFIles icon, just exit, and if you've got the SuiteFIles icon on your desktop like I do, just double click that shortcut and it should just reload. Hopefully now when we jump into our file explorer, yep, so you can see that you've got your S drive now installed. So this, if you click on that, it will show you your folder structure just as you are used to in SuiteFIles, and you can navigate through and locate any of your files. So again, this is not designed to be a replacement of the SuiteFIles web app, but it can be quite handy if you're looking for something such as a PDF file to open, and if you need to edit it directly in your PDF editor of choice, then it's typically available to or easier to do so from the SuiteDrive. So that's just one example of how you might use the SuiteDrive add-in. So that actually brings us to the end of our session today. If you did have any questions on anything that you've seen here today at all, then please use these last moments to ask any questions that you might have in the Q&A section in the webinar tool. If you do have any follow-up questions after this, then you're most welcome to reach out to us at support@suitefiles.com. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, we hope that you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And if you are going to be joining us for our admin training, which is just in a few short minutes, we'll be over in the other link. I say we, it's just going to be me. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the admin training. There should be another link for you to join coming through in your email inbox if you haven't seen it already. All right, we'll catch you there.